The news broke like a thunderclap on a clear day. A routine resupply mission to the BRP Sierra Madre at Ayungin Shoal turned into a flashpoint. Chinese Coast Guard vessels intercepted the small Philippine supply boats, escalating a simmering conflict into a direct confrontation. The calm blue waters became a stage for a dangerous geopolitical drama. Filipino sailors, vastly outnumbered, faced off against the imposing white-hulled ships of the China Coast Guard. The Chinese ships formed a blockade, their intentions unmistakable. The Philippine mission would not proceed. The Filipino crews, armed with courage and duty, stood their ground as their boats were tossed by the wakes of the larger Chinese ships. This was more than a standoff. It was a test of wills, a moment that captured years of tension. Ayungin Shoal lies within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone. Yet Chinese ships acted as gatekeepers in Filipino waters. The world watched as the confrontation escalated, every command and blast of a ship's horn echoing far beyond the shoal. The incident was a deliberate provocation, a message from Beijing to Manila. Diplomatic protests followed, but the images told the real story: the disparity in power and the aggression of Chinese tactics. For the Philippines, this was a national affront, a violation of sovereign rights. The brave Filipino sailors carried not just supplies, but the pride and dignity of their nation. The events at Ayungin Shoal were not isolated. They were the latest, most brazen chapter in a long and troubling story. This was the spark that would ignite a much larger fire in the South China Sea. The world's attention was now fixed on these volatile waters. The stakes had never been higher. The China Coast Guard's tactics were brutal and precise. High-pressure water cannons battered the small Philippine boats, knocking crew members off their feet and flooding controls. This was no warning. It was a direct attack meant to force a retreat. Filipino crews, drenched and battered, showed remarkable bravery. These gray zone tactics, shouldering, blocking, even using lasers, are designed to intimidate without triggering outright war. The goal: make it impossible for the Philippines to operate in its own waters. Outmatched, the Filipino Coast Guard relies on training, courage, and documentation, capturing every incident on camera. Their footage exposes China's aggression to the world, countering Beijing's narrative of peaceful development. Filipino sailors have become frontline journalists, fighting for truth as much as territory. The psychological toll is immense, but their resolve is unbroken. Every mission is a statement of defiance. They refuse to be intimidated or surrender their nation's rights. The water cannons may damage their ships, but not their spirit. The world is watching, and so are the Filipino people. China's actions in the South China Sea follow a deliberate strategy: salami slicing. Small, incremental gains, harassing fishermen, blocking resupply, building artificial islands, gradually shift the balance. These man-made islands, now militarized with runways and missile launchers, project Chinese power deep into the region. Despite promises not to militarize, these bases have become fortresses, fundamentally altering Southeast Asia's security landscape. The strategy avoids dramatic events, instead, applying constant pressure to wear down resistance. For the Philippines, each blocked boat is another slice taken. The cost of resisting rises, encouraging acquiescence. It's a slow-motion invasion. Ships and sand, not soldiers, redrawing the map. The world must recognize this creeping change before it's too late. In 2013, the Philippines challenged China's sweeping claims at the Permanent Court of Arbitration. The 2016 ruling was a landmark victory. China's 9-dash line had no legal basis, and features like Ayungin Shoal were affirmed as Philippine territory. The decision was clear and binding, a triumph for international law. China, however, rejected the ruling outright, refusing to participate or comply. Since then, China has intensified its activities, building islands, increasing patrols, and harassing Filipino vessels. The message might makes right, and international law is ignored when inconvenient. This defiance undermines the global rules-based order. The Hague victory remains a powerful tool, but its enforcement depends on international resolve. For now, the legal win feels hollow against China's concrete actions. The struggle continues, on the water, not just on paper. For generations, the South China Sea has sustained Filipino coastal communities. Fishing is a way of life, but now traditional grounds like Scarborough Shoal are patrolled by Chinese vessels. Filipino fishermen face harassment, confiscation of catch, and even ramming of their boats. Forced to fish closer to shore, their catches and incomes have plummeted. Families struggle, debts rise, and young people leave for the cities. The psychological toll is severe. Fear and helplessness replace confidence. The sea, once a source of bounty, is now a source of anxiety. This is not just economic loss, it's about food security and national dignity. By denying access, China directly impacts the Philippines' ability to feed itself. The sight of foreign ships bullying Filipino fishermen is a source of deep national anger. Empty nets symbolize more than lost income, they represent lost sovereignty and a way of life. The struggle of the fishermen is the struggle of the nation. Their plight is a daily reminder of what's at stake. The Philippine government has long walked a tightrope, balancing security needs with economic ties to China. Previous policies of accommodation failed to stop aggression, fueling public frustration. The 2016 Hague ruling was set aside for warmer ties, deepening national discontent. The public, united by patriotism, demanded a stronger response. Under President Marcos Jr., Manila has shifted more vocal condemnation, diplomatic protests, and stronger alliances, especially with the U.S. South. Silence was seen as consent. Now, assertiveness is the new strategy. The risks are real: economic retaliation or dangerous encounters at sea. But the alternative, continued erosion of sovereignty, is unacceptable. The nation's patience has run out. The demand for action is impossible to ignore. As tensions rose, the United States made its presence unmistakable. Warships, including aircraft carriers and destroyers, now patrol the South China Sea, not just as a show, but as active deployments. The message to Beijing: the U.S. stands by its treaty obligations to the Philippines. Joint military exercises like Balikatan have expanded, demonstrating unity and enhancing Filipino capabilities. When U.S. and Philippine ships sail together, the message is clear: aggression will not go unanswered. The 1951 Mutual Defense Treaty now explicitly covers attacks on Philippine vessels in the South China Sea. This clarification raises the stakes for China's gray zone tactics. The U.S. presence is about deterrence, not provocation. Integrated strength to prevent war, it gives the Philippines confidence to assert its rights. The power imbalance is shifting. American naval power has changed the regional dynamics. Allies are reassured, adversaries are warned. The era of uncontested aggression is over. The South China Sea is a vital artery of global trade. 1/3 of maritime shipping passes through these waters. Any disruption would cause global economic chaos. The principle at stake is freedom of the seas, a cornerstone of international law. If one nation can control a major waterway, it sets a dangerous precedent. The conflict tests the international rules-based order. China's actions challenge the system that prevents the strong from imposing on the weak. If rules are broken here, others may follow worldwide. The Philippines' struggle is a frontline battle for a stable, law-abiding world. The outcome will affect global trade, law, and power balances. What happens here matters everywhere. The fight for freedom of navigation is a fight for the future. China's pressure has forged new unity in the Philippines. The issue transcends politics, uniting government, military, civil society, and ordinary citizens. This broad support gives Manila a strong mandate to stand firm. International backing is growing. U.S., Australia, Japan, and others condemn China's actions and support the Hague ruling. A coalition of nations is forming to uphold international law and a free Indo-Pacific. For the Philippines, it's about securing resources and a future for its people. For the world, it's about preserving a system where law, not force, prevails. The challenges are immense, but the Philippines shows courage and resilience. By standing up for its rights and rallying allies, it shifts the balance of power. Unity at home and solidarity abroad are powerful counterweights to aggression. The nation's resolve is now a beacon for the region. The Filipino people defend not just their shores, but the principles of a just world.